Making the decision of who to go into business with is arguably the most important decision you make. What advice would you pass on to entrepreneurs about finding the right
co-founder? There's no doubt about it. I think the first one is the chemistry's got to be right, and they've got to, it's all about the team, right? So that is that's ultra critical. I think the other thing too is that they've got to share a common set of values and mission and purpose. And I think the other thing is that they got to want to put the trophy on the mantle in some way, shape or form. So, and if you can get it where they represent different disciplines, that is great. And key for us at Ariba was that diversity of thought and represent those different areas, and that diversity of thought is a catalyst for genius. So for example, we came up with a unique pricing strategy. That came from the CTO. Many of the great product ideas came from the salesperson. So it's really that blending combination that has that synergistic effect.
And you've worked with some great co-founders over the years. We've talked about Stuart a couple of times, obviously when building out Flickr and now Slack. For entrepreneurs looking for co-founders, where do you think they should go to find the right people?
I think that's really tough. I think obviously the co-founders you work with are super important, like probably the most important thing. And when you look at the history of Glitch and then Slack, the actual thing we were building was less important than the team that we were building it with. And the people that you want to have as co-founders are, people that you both share values with. So, you agree on at least a core set of things, but have complementary skills. You don't need everybody to have the same set of skills. But the other piece is that whether your company is successful or not, you're going to spend a lot of time working with these people. They have to be people that you enjoy spending time with, and that also includes enjoy spending time with them when it's not going well. That's going to be the real test of whether you have the right set of co-founders. Is can you work together when everything's against you?
And what's interesting is that the founding team of this company is quite interesting in a way, because most people when they start the company, they might have one co-founder, maybe there might be three, and generally they've all got very different skill sets, whereas in your case I know you were all sort of studying your MBA together, and presumably there was a lot of skill set overlap. So I guess what's your advice to all the conventional wisdom out there about co-founding teams and that sort of model doesn't work, because it's obviously worked in this case?
Yeah, we got a ton of advice that said, don't start a company with friends, you're going to end up hating each other or suing each other. Don't start a company with 4 co-founders, it's way too many people. And if anything, you need a technical co-founder and you need a designer. And we were friends first. We really trusted each other. We kind of co-developed the idea. And we said, okay, we're going to take all that advice, all those warnings, and set up a structure that we think makes sense for us. And so we decided the equity in the company, we split the equity of the company equally, even though certain people probably could have made arguments that, initially I contributed a little bit more here or there. We set up a vesting schedule so that if anyone wanted to leave at any point, that they would get credit for time served, but wouldn't have to kind of debate over the value of that they created over that time, that we'd agree on that initially. We each put in the same amount of money. And then we also, and I think this was critically important, set up 360-degree reviews on a monthly basis, even when it was just the 4 of us, where we put kind of one person in the hot seat and provide feedback around what was working well, what wasn't, kind of stylistically, here are the things that bother me when you kind of provide suggestions over areas of the business that I'm overseeing and things that I've already thought about, and just kind of talk things through, and wanted to make sure that there were no issues that festered below the surface that might end up in a rupture down the road, and just made a commitment that we were going to treat each other honestly and fairly over time.
You mentioned how you and your co-founders come together. When you're at Y Combinator today, you're talking to startup teams. What do you think people should be looking for in their co-founders?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. I think you should certainly look for diversity of skill set. And what I mean by that in terms of diversity of skill set is, in general, a company can be broken down into two things: creating and selling, building and selling. And if you can have a team that has a mix of that, that is the best. Mainly because I've seen teams that have like similar, they're all like builders and none of them want to sell, right? And it's fine that they're 3 engineers, but somebody's going to have to want to figure out like, how do we get customers? How do we market this? What are we thinking about, right? There's somebody that's got to do that. And that's almost like a full-time job in and of itself. And then I've definitely seen teams, and I'll pick on MBAs, 3 MBAs, but they don't know how to build. Well, then you have all these assumptions that are untested, right? They might be thinking about building the market, coming on to board, but like until the product launches, you don't know what you got, right? People may not use it, people may not come, you just don't know. So I certainly think like the skill sets, having a diverse skill set that's complementary makes a lot of sense, right? Absolutely. And you have to really think about what is it that you're building. Obviously, for some companies that are like hardware, you might need somebody who's really great in manufacturing. We were probably a company that was built off of, let's do the idea first and let's try to form the team around it. We've pivoted along the way, and I think it's because of the great team dynamics to be able to say, okay, what are the things we can shift here and there?
Absolutely.
But definitely a diverse skill set, ability to work together. So that's just a bit of like personality and working style. That's why I'm a huge fan of trying to be able to have people who have worked together. I think that's really good. And then finally, I think the most important thing is to be on the same page of kind of your values and your goals. Some people want to build a lifestyle business, and some people want to build like a venture capital business. You guys should really be on the same page of like, what are your goals?
100%.
What are your values? In terms of that, you should be 100% aligned around.
Yeah, it's great
But
advice.
other things, you should be super like as diverse and complementary
Absolutely,
as
yeah.
possible.